Good afternoon, Dunkirk and Fredonia listeners, and welcome back to News at Noon. I'm News Director Cascio Fonseca here today with news assistants Lee Pye and Joshua Ribakove. And in this top of the hour update, we'll bring you the latest on news and events around SUNY Fredonia's campus and community, as well as the latest in national news and weather. First up, we'll bring it to Lee for our latest Wednesday campus news update.
Good afternoon, I'm Lee Pye delivering your campus news. This may be new to some and old to others, but advising is starting. If you haven't already received an email from your advisor, I recommend you send one to make an appointment. Create your schedule and check with your advisors to see if it's on the right path for you. If you don't know where to find your advisor, check on your connection under the Student Records tab. Feeling creative? If you want someone to review your personal stories, want to share ideas with peers, or just want to tell someone about your stories, the Creative Write-In is just for you. Bring something to write with and bring your own stories, whether they're finished or not. This is hosted by Professor Cuthbert. The event will be held Thursday, March 30th at 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. and will be held in the Writers Lounge in Fenton 222. The Fredonia radio station's radio show, The Local Lowdown, is presenting Game Night on Thursday, March 30th in the Williams Center Blue Lounge at 6 p.m. Multiple events are happening this Friday, March 31st, and some are overlapping others. So here's a list if you want to find something to do on Friday night. For the science students, the biology club and the biology faculty is hosting a game night in the Science Center in room 105 from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. For the sports lovers, a Buffalo Sabres watch party is going to be hosted in the Williams Center room G138, the Blue Lounge, at 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. For the music enthusiasts, the Bottoms Up Dixieland Jazz Band, made up of Fredonia alumni, will be performing in Mason Hall, room 1080. They will be performing from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. For the theater kids, This Is Our Youth, a play written by Kenneth Lonergan, directed by Erin Grace Kelly, will be in the Rockefeller Arts Center in the Bartlett Theater from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And to all you radio listeners, the Fredonia Radio Systems Mystery Event will be hosted in McEwen G24 from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. All of this is on Friday. That's it for campus news. Back to you, Cascio.
Thanks, Lee. Next up, we'll have local news. And in local news for today, it's pothole season in the city of Dunkirk and across the region of Western New York. City Department of Public Works Director Randy Woodbury offered some information about the car-rattling street nuisances and the fight against them Tuesday at a Common Council meeting. Quote, "Even though we've had, knock on wood, relatively light snow in the winter, the freezing and thaw and wet cycles have caused the potholes to be very numerous this year," end quote. "All it takes is a little bit of water to get in and then freeze," he added. "Those of us that are old enough to remember a milk bottle left outside, it'll burst the bottle. The pressure of freezing water could probably lift a tank, so it takes apart our roads." Woodbury said DPW is repairing the potholes with cold patch currently, which only lasts about 2 weeks. Long-lasting hot patch treatments will have to await the spring reopening of the asphalt plant that the DPW gets its supply from. That's expected sometime in early April. Woodbury was speaking in response to Councilwoman Nancy Nichols. "I had a concern on the many potholes in the city of Dunkirk," she said. "Everybody seems to think they have the answer on cold patch or what, and if they could just do that." The DPW director asked residents to call the streets department at 366-4411 if they see any big potholes. A survey from AAA came out, released last Monday, found that nearly 2 in 10 drivers had to get their vehicles repaired after hitting potholes last year. In total, an estimated 44 million drivers experienced pothole damage significant enough to require repair in 2022, up from 28 million in 2021, a 57% increase. The average vehicle repair cost for pothole damage in 2022 was $406. These same drivers ended up with an average of 2 pothole-related repairs, signaling that America's roadways need immediate attention. AAA urges government officials and departments of transportation to focus on improving road conditions, prioritizing areas most in need of repair. That's what we have for local news for today, and in national news, we'll bring it to Josh.
Russia is now ignoring the new START arms control pact between the United States and Russia and has stopped sharing nuclear weapons information. The treaty, signed in 2010, requires the countries to biannually share information about and limit the number of nuclear warheads and deployed missiles and bombers they can have in their arsenal. Although Vladimir Putin himself suspended the pact last month, Moscow has officially halted all information exchanges with Washington. This means that Russia will no longer be warning the United States about test launches, and test launches could be perceived as actual threats. The Deputy Foreign Minister, Sergei Rybakove, claims that there will be no notifications under the treaty at all. Today, Russia has started drills in which the Yars mobile missile launchers will spread throughout a few regions of Siberia. The Yars is a nuclear intercontinental ballistic missile and that can reach a target nearly 7,000 miles away. Washington will also cease sending information to Moscow in an attempt to encourage them to re-enter the new START treaty. If you remember Monday's news, we spoke about First Citizens Bank shares taking over Silicon Valley Bank after the second largest banking crisis in U.S. history. Well, the banking crisis is making waves around the world, and this time it is impacting Credit Suisse. This morning, U.S. lawmakers stated that they have found that the Swiss bank, Credit Suisse, has violated a 2014 plea agreement by allowing their clients to evade taxes from the IRS and other tax authorities. The bank revealed that they have found 23 accounts, each worth over $20 million, located in offshore accounts that had not been declared to tax authorities. This comes after a 2-year investigation that revealed Credit Suisse has continued to conceal money even after being caught for the same crime a decade ago. Earlier this month, the Swiss National Bank, the Central Bank of Switzerland, injected $100 billion of liquidity into Credit Suisse to keep it afloat. Now, Swiss banking giant UBS will be purchasing Credit Suisse for nearly $3.25 billion. UBS chairman Colm Kelleher stated in a media release, quote, "This acquisition is attractive for UBS shareholders, but let us be clear. As far as Credit Suisse is concerned, this is an emergency rescue. We have structured a transaction that will preserve the value left in the business while limiting our downside exposure," end quote. As the banking crisis is ongoing, you can likely expect to hear more banking news in the future. Today, the FDA approved Narcan for over-the-counter non-prescription use. Narcan is a naloxone hydrochloride nasal spray that is used for reversing opioid overdoses. According to the FDA's news release, quote, "Today's action paves the way for the life-saving medication to reverse an opioid overdose to be sold directly to consumers in places like drugstores, convenience stores, grocery stores, and gas stations, as well as online," end quote. This approval is limited to the 4 milligram version of Narcan, and implementing the switch from prescription to over-the-counter status may take a few months. Other brands of naloxone and injectable forms are not yet announced over the counter, but they could be soon. By removing the need for prescription, people will be able to purchase the medication without their medical insurance knowing about it, and it allows people in communities without pharmacies to more easily pick up Narcan to reverse opioid overdoses on heroin, fentanyl, and oxycodone. Something that you must know about Narcan usage is that you need to call an ambulance for the person receiving naloxone after it has been inhaled. Thank you very much. This has been today's national and international news.
Thanks, Josh. Finally, we'll take it back to Lee for today's weather forecast.
The Northern Chautauqua Weather Update, being brought to you by Fredonia Radio Systems.
Thanks, Cascio. The weather today is 43 degrees Fahrenheit. It feels like 35 degrees, and it is a cloudy day with a tiny bit of sun. The high is 45 degrees, and the low is 28 degrees. It's supposed to be windy, and the snow will start around 5 p.m. tonight, unfortunately. Tomorrow, Thursday, will be 36 degrees and sunny, and no snow. That's all from me. This was Lee Pye with your weather.
Thank you, Lee and Josh. That'll wrap it up for this Wednesday's edition of News at Noon. Local news for this broadcast was prepared and read by Cascio Fonseca. National news was prepared and read by Joshua Ribakove, while campus news and weather were prepared and read by Lee Pye. Board operations for this broadcast were performed by Alex Erwin. Join us for more top-of-the-hour news updates on High Noon Friday, and until then, take care.